Je bois sans dire à tout.
What is going on, jerk faces? It's your boy Andy, and welcome to Nocturnal Transmissions, presented to you by the Circle of Jerks podcast. We're having the weekly live stream where we have the conversation we could be having during the day, but choosing to have at night. Again, with me, as always, is the homeboy Rob.
How's it going?
All right, let's get this conversation started. So, if you guys weren't aware, last week there wasn't Nocturnal Transmissions. Well, technically there was, but we chose not to upload it or to archive it because we had a bit of a systems malfunction. And the malfunction was or if you had happened upon the live stream, is that there was only half a conversation because you could only hear me but not Rob.
Yeah. Well, I think that was, kind of done on purpose, like a whole CNN, Fox News conspiracy. Let's just dump the
oh, right? Yeah. All right, like how CNN, is having, technical difficulties, and, as soon as, they start, the guest starts saying stuff that they don't like, like, oh, we're having technical difficulties, and the feed is lost.
Oh man, darn shucks! He was just saying something important,
right? And I know. Oh, I really wanted to hear that. That point of view. That thing that I didn't consider.
Yeah. Oh boy.
But yeah, it was pretty embarrassing because I actually went back and watched the footage, and it was basically a one-sided conversation.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
But we have remedied that, and we are running on all cylinders, so it shouldn't be a problem. At least I hope not, because the little meter for Rob's mic is fluctuating, so hopefully that means that the sound is working.
Hopefully, yeah, that'd be great. Yes. I hope the sound keeps working. Indeed. But yeah, man, we just had all week we just had a ton of just weird filming and recording issues, just not being able to do stuff when we needed to, running out of time, audio issues on Tuesday, was it Saturday's filming? That was more my fault, just ran out of time and it got caught up.
It's all your fault, Robert. It's all your fault.
It is my fault. Hey, I took the blame for it. I'm sorry.
Yes.
You didn't.
Yes, and you did make up for it for when you bought me dinner.
Yeah.
The other night, after we filmed, so
yeah.
Yes, so Robert did make up for his mess up.
Hey, I grinded through, and then we finished. We finished filming.
We did. I mean, props to you though, because we actually, it was long recording sessions. I mean, I think in total it was close to 2.5. 2.5 hours of filming, and that's a lot of filming.
Yeah, it was. We were doing it for quite a while, but I think it's gonna end up really good once we. I really can't wait to once we're ready to debut the new segment and share it with everyone. I'm getting really excited for that.
Yeah, I was actually working on the opening and the intro and the end credits scene in After Effects today. So yeah, I mean, I pretty much have the stuff that we have recorded already. I pretty much have that all set up. I have it all set up more or less, and ready to go. I just need to finish up the intro and the outro, and then pop those into the editor and render that out and be ready to upload.
Yeah, I think I need to get some new like external drives so I can start putting like my side of the footage over on like that because otherwise I got to start erasing stuff off my computer.
Yeah, I know. I'm. It's always a thing with there's not enough space for anything.
Yeah, that's the way it always is. Because I want to the stuff that we're doing. I want to keep that footage.
Oh, you want to archive it?
Yeah.
I mean, I have an archive. I mean, I have it's kind of necessary for me, being a photographer and just having the backups and things. So yeah, I have like a 4 terabyte external hard drive, and so I mean, if you want, then and then I mean after I edit and stuff like that, I always move all the original footage and all the corresponding files onto that external hard drive. So.
Oh, sweet. Okay, yeah, that's yeah, because you're gonna get like my side of the footage anyways. I'm uploading it to you today, so.
Okay. Well, I will look forward to receiving it.
Yeah. I was worried because like it wasn't working right at the start last time. I was like, God, I was like, I hope if we lose this footage, I'm gonna be so pissed. But no, everything worked out, so I got it to work.
Yeah, I mean, because I know we ran into that, those issues initially when we first started filming for this new segment. And
I was pulling my hair out trying to figure what what went on with that. Otherwise we're gonna have to like refilm and do all that, but we got it to work, so that's all that matters. And I'm doing research for the so we'll have like pretty much like we have like 3 or 4 episodes, 2 that are one's getting very close to being the first one's getting ready. And then like there's like 2 or 3 other ones, and then I'm working on the research for the next one. So I'm so excited about it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, if nothing, then to it gives me opportunities to expand my skills, particularly in editing and like motion graphics and graphic design, all those little things that I would be that I do that I was okay at when we first started this, but now I'm becoming more proficient, and there's just it's just another thing to add onto the old resume,
Exactly, and this is even despite our low techness kind of this is our like high production program, and I think as we move forward and maybe get better equipment for it, like we have a whole crap ton of stuff that we can do.
Yeah, no, I mean, if this becomes a big thing and we're able to make a living off of it, then yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind having a studio one day where we could so we could have a dedicated space essentially for like this show and for like the podcast and for like this new segment coming up, or even whatever else we might come up with in the future. So yeah,
and pretty much like we've done all the filming in my house.
Yeah.
So and even like the some of the stuff like there's for like our different stuff that we do, I want to have like different decorations, or kind of to go with the flow of the different programs that we're doing. Just kind of give it a fun feel, and everyone knows like, hey, that's the background for this show. I know now, and just they have fun doing that. So yeah, I got a lot of ideas. So hopefully, I'm hoping it does become something really awesome and big. That way, we can get some people to take some pressure off you, Andy. and you can have more fun.
No, I mean, we always joke around about this, but I can't wait for the day that we could hire an intern. I mean, not hire an intern, but bring on an intern, and have him do more of the work. But I mean, because I'm not, none of us are, out to try and like screw anyone over. Because I think, because once we are at that place where we can, bring on an intern and stuff, I would, I'd be more than happy to, take them under my, and really, take them under our wing and, really impart knowledge and experience. Because, I've done an internship and I've heard other people, especially from art school, who've done internships and like, I didn't like learn anything. I basically came in knowing more than like my, quote unquote boss, and and I was just I basically worked for free. Is what the general sense, and and then my internship, it felt at the time, I'm gonna be honest, and I didn't take like full advantage of, but the working conditions was kind of it was less than desirable because because as skilled as I was already when I went into it, I really missed that mentor mentee relationship, where I felt like someone was investing in my time and like appreciating me for what I was doing, but I didn't necessarily get that. And I think that's something that's lost nowadays, because just nowadays, like especially when I was like having trouble finding work and stuff. Well, I'm still kind of, I still kind of have those troubles, but nowadays it's like they want candidates to be fully they kind of, to use a Pokemon term, they want, or any kind of like leveling up kind of game. They want the final, employers want the final form.
Yeah, exactly.
They want to be able to instantly stick the new hire into that role and not have to worry about it and just set it and forget it.
Right.
And there's no more sense of mentorship or mentorship where you're helping.
I know what you're talking about. It's, you look in the olden days where you'd have like the apprentices where they would like have this like master at like a certain craft, and they'd bring on these apprentices and teach them that craft so it keeps on going.
Right.
And there's just like a mentor, and it's just that's just not there anymore.
Yeah. Also, it's like, but it's just like, I think it's just a good way to build a business. Regardless, because because yes, you could bring in someone who already has all the prerequisite skills and whatever, but you gotta pray, you gotta be praying pretty hard that they don't realize that they are an incredibly important asset. And then if they do realize that, then they could just like pick up and leave.
Right.
As opposed to like if you brought in someone who was, slightly skilled, but could use some refinement, and then help build up their skill, then you have someone that's loyal to you, right? Especially if you show them like the respect, and and advance him, when he deserves it or when he or she deserves it. And recognizing their recognizing their contributions, as frequently as possible,
Yeah,
goes a long way.
The in your line of work, like, because I'm assuming you're doing like a lot of looking for work, more like photography, videography, stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And do you think, we had our whole interview thing with you on the main podcast side. Do you think that maybe it's, not your condition, like, do you think that has like held you back from like some jobs, like people are kind of worried about like hiring you, or is it more based like, or is your line of work based on like what you've done and like the quality of the work that you showing off in your portfolio?
Well, to answer the first part, sometimes I do think that my condition, my hands, kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? What is it? I guess, yeah. Well, I guess this is the best word I can come up with. But does prejudice the employer or the potential employer from hiring me, just because photography is, it's also a very like hands-on type of a field, because and it's a very physical one too, because you have equipment that is heavy and has to be transported and moved about, and a lot of knobs and little gear things that you have to manipulate. And I think sometimes it does, and I think that depends on the specific interviewer or hiring manager for that particular company. And I'm a human being, so that question always kind of like burns in the back of my brain after an interview, and I don't get the job. It's like, okay, maybe I just wasn't the right fit. But then there's that part of me, there's that part in my mind was like, oh, was it because of my hands, and
right.
Was it because they didn't think that I was cut out, or I could handle all like the physical requirements, and I try not to let that like consume me and like make me out to be like this victim or whatever. But I just it is a thing that. It is a thing that does kind of, reside in the back of my mind when I don't get the job.
Because I know you're capable. I try to ask you for help if you need help putting stuff together, and you're just like, no, I got it. Just get out of my way. And
well, because I gotta get this from my dad, but I'm a little OCD, and I kind of have to have it my way. So
I know, but I say that as a positive thing. It's like, you're just like, no, just stay out of my way. I got this. Like, yeah, just I don't need anything. So yeah. And so I know you. The physical part of it, like that. Honestly, like, you're just as capable as anyone with hands. Mm-hmm. And no, it's just, and it also kind of reminds me too that. I don't know if you ever watched the PragerU University channel on YouTube.
Oh yeah, I love that. I love that channel.
Yeah,
great.
There was one with Adam Carolla where he talked about taking like ownership of your own life and situation and all that, and more about not blaming others or or certain things for like, oh, I didn't get a job or I didn't get this or that because of this person or this situation or and I think you kind of embody that, where it is something that is in the back of your mind, but you're like, no, maybe my resume just wasn't good enough yet, so let me see if I can work harder, do something better,
right.
To you're thinking that like, okay, if my resume is the same as this other person that they're interviewing, that guy's probably going to get the job, and so I need to be that much better, and that's something I definitely respect about you. Because I think you embody that kind of personality.
Well, thank you. It's very much appreciated.
Yeah, because honestly, like, there's a lot of people that would be in your situation or are in your situation, where it's, they pretty much, you're a go-getter, and it's like your condition isn't you. I mean, it's like you were saying in the interview that you feel that this is the way that God made you. So I just have to adapt and be like and to do what other people do, even if it's takes me a little bit longer or whatever. But honestly, like, you're quicker than some able-bodied people that I know.
Well, I mean, practice.
Yeah.
I mean, to kind of remark on what you were saying is, there's like that. This is a kind of there's kind of slight twist on the saying, but it's like, I have the condition doesn't have me.
Exactly, yeah. But that's something I've always like highly respected about you, and I think it's great that you don't like let it keep you down or like keep you, your spirits are up all the time, and you kind of make the room like kind of like a fun place to be, and you're not one of those people where it's like, what? You made fun of my hands? How dare you? You should be like thrown in jail.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, what's the point? I mean, because, I think it's important to, what is it, not attribute motive to people, especially those that you are meeting for the first time,
Yeah.
I mean, if because I know that I'm not normal. I'm not usual. So
Right.
so when people meet me, they're not expecting to meet me. You know what I mean?
No, they are not.
And so, I always have that compassion towards people, and I say, okay, this guy's not trying to be an asshole to me, or this guy's not trying to be a jerk to me. By his reaction, it's just he's never met me. And I mean, and just full disclosure, like, if I happen to meet somebody who didn't look normal, like, they had like a whole amount of like tattoos or piercings, or they had a hand that was more shriveled than mine. I would be I'd be a little jarred, by meeting them for the first time.
Right.
And so, so I always try to, I always extend compassion to people that I'm meeting for the first time, and I never attribute motive to them, when, when it's just easily the novelty of meeting me,
Right.
So.
Yeah, like maybe it's like my personality too. Like when I first met you, I was like, I didn't even see your arms until I shook your hand. I was like, oh, something's different here,
Right.
as we always kind of joke about.
Uh-huh.
But I was, I was like, okay, so he's different. Like I didn't care, but like a lot of people are like, like they ask a million questions right off the bat. It's like, you don't know me like that. Why are you asking me all these questions? So I try to be kind of like conscious and not like ask all those questions that like are running through my head. And it's like, but you were, pretty much, pretty open about your situation, or, cracking jokes about it. So I figured it's like, oh, okay, I guess it's okay to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, because I'll be the first one to make fun of myself and kind of make a joke of it, because because it's just a good way to put people at ease, and it's like, okay, this guy, he's cool, he's making fun of himself, so
Right.
So it's like I don't have to walk on eggshells, and to be honest, I welcome the questions, because it's like what better way to get to know somebody than to ask them a bunch of questions. Of course, not like really like dick questions, but just like generally like kind of out of curiosity, and not out of a desire to be an asshole.
right. What I can't remember the name of the comedian off the top of my head, but he had this segment about he was talking about like kind of like race and all that stuff. It was pretty funny, but he was talking about like where he was asking this one black guy about like, hey, what's the whole like stereotype with like you guys not black people not really like knowing how to swim, or like with like they're not really like wanting to be in water and stuff like that. It's like, well, and the guy was saying, he just, straight, he was, the story that he's telling, this guy just said, oh, well, a lot of us live in the inner cities. There's no pools or ocean or rivers or anything. It's like, oh, that makes sense. And it's like, then there was this other, like, white guy that came up to him, and he's like, dude, that was ignorant. It's like, yeah, that's why I asked the question. So that we...
Yeah.
And that's...
Right? It's like, yeah, like that guy didn't come to that, come to that conversation or come to that meeting with that black guy with that knowledge, and so like he had to ask to finally know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like, so it's really kind of stupid that the other guy would call him out. Oh, that's ignorant. It's like, well, yeah.
I think the guy's the comedian's name was Mark Normand. Yeah, Normand. I think he's a pretty funny guy.
Do you think
that's kind of a
do you think that clip is on YouTube?
Oh, I would imagine so. I forget I forget the bit like title though, and I'll look it up and maybe I will.
I'll find it and I'll like put it in the description. After this episode gets archived. So,
well, I guess because I don't know if we've talked about it on the either the podcast side or on Nocturnal Transmission side, but I'm a huge fan of stand-up comedy. I love a bunch of different guys, and like Bill Burr, George Carlin, Dave Chappelle, all those guys, Joe Rogan.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of hack comics out there who kind of don't really change their act very much, and it's kind of they're not really willing to work and change their bits. But then there's like some of those guys, they're constantly doing new stuff, and they're still really funny.
Mm-hmm. And because they work on their craft.
And the funny thing with stand-up comedy, to me, it's an art form. And there's always that like, oh man, I could go up on stage, I could do that, like, and it's like, no, you can't. Those guys have worked like a ridiculous amount of hours upon hours writing and like crafting and molding and bombing on stage to get their act completed. And I just the ones that are the best at it are, man, they're phenomenal. That stand the test of time. Even like their old stuff, you go back and you listen to it, and it's still funny.
Mm-hmm.
Like Robin Williams is that way. George Carlin, even though his stuff is sometimes like 20, 30 years old. I mean, his stuff still like is effective today, and I laugh every time I listen to him.
Yeah. I mean, in that way,
even though he's probably someone I would never agree with on anything, but he's funny about it. So.
Yeah, I mean, to kind of connect that, I mean, within art and fine art, as much as I dump on postmodern art,
which is garbage.
It is. I mean, it's not hyperbole and it's not exaggeration. It's garbage. But there's those people.
Paul Joseph Watson summed up my thinking about contemporary art.
I mean, but like you said, how like comedy is an art form. There's those people. There's those artists who will do like a single swipe of a brush on a canvas and then put it up in the gallery or in the museum, and people look at it. A lay person look at it and say, "Oh, I could have done that." But I mean, but it's just like you said, it takes time and thought, and I think what a lot of people sometimes don't realize is even in the postmodern stuff, like thought has gone into that. You know, that single swipe of the brush, you know, leaving that one line or whatever on the canvas, that single line on the canvas, that still went some thought into it. I mean, granted, there are some who are just kind of like riding the postmodern train and just, you know, come up with with BS to go with the work. But I mean, just as a thin kind of like attaching thread to what you were saying about how stand-up comedy is an art form.
Yeah. Well, and that's true too. Like, you know, any sort of artist, unless like, you know, they're just you know, have no soul or whatever. I mean, even like the contemporary stuff. Well, I don't like it. You know, those guys are putting thought into it, and there is, you know, in their mind some sort of like symbolism to it, and I can at least respect that, even if I don't really like what they're doing, because but yeah, like it is like a great art form, and you know, we're really in a golden age of like stand-up comics. There's so many really good ones that are out there that any type of, you know, you have your, you know, extremely crass ones that are, you know, if you like people who are vulgar but funny, you know, there's plenty of those.
Right.
There's some that are, you know, super clean but they're really funny, and then you have like guys that are more like in between. And so it's, you get a little bit of everything for everyone. Even like in some of the, you know, there's kind of the talk of female comics, like, you know, they're not that funny. It's like even now, like, there's some really really funny ones. You know, like that.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm not I'm not talking about Amy Schumer. I'm not a huge fan of hers because I feel like her act hasn't changed since she first started stand up, which, when she first started and like we kind of became big, her bit was awesome. It was funny, but her act just, to me, didn't change. She just kept doing the same thing, and after, it's one of those that it kind of got old. But then you look at
right, because
comedians.
Yeah, because her whole bit's like, oh, I'm a dumb slut. Look, it's my vagina smells.
Yeah.
But after like, I don't even know how long she's been out. I know she had that show a couple of years ago, so I want to say like she's like 5 years.
I think it's been a little bit longer than that. I feel like it's been like maybe about like eight or 9.
Okay, so let's say shy of a decade.
Yeah, she's shy of a decade.
Shy of a decade, like, and it's the same materials. Like, oh, I'm a whore. My vagina smells. I can't hold on to a boyfriend.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, so it hasn't changed, and I mean, she's getting older, and so, you know, I don't necessarily want to see a grandmother talking like that, or someone who's like the age of a grandmother talking.
Yeah,
like
and
that.
and her last Netflix special kind of showed like what people really thought of her stand up. It's not that she's not funny. It's just she needs like she needs to throw her whole like bit out and start.
Right, she just needs to chuck like whatever what she's been doing. It was fine. It was good initially in the beginning of her career. Now chuck that out. Do some introspection about your life and your experiences, and, you know, come up with something funny.
The you know, because you know, on the Joe Rogan podcast, Bill Burr, you know, they talk about like the stand-up comedy craft, and Bill Burr, what he does is, you know, he'll write for like a year or whatever, like come up with this whole like new stuff, to, you know, tour it for about another year or so, and once it's over, all like the CDs and the specials are done, he takes all his notes, tosses them in the trash, and he starts all over again.
Yeah.
That's to me is like that
tabula rasa. Clean slate. Yeah, and it's like, and comedians, you know, they're, you know, it's like anybody else, you know, they have different stages in life. So when you're like young and like in your early to mid 20s, you're gonna talk about promiscuity and maybe doing drugs and
Right.
the odd fart joke here and there. And then when you get a little bit older, I mean, if you get, I mean, with the predominance of drug use in certain circles and people, certain comedians, but once you get like a little bit older and like maybe you get married and start a family, then you kind of get into like the old man humor and like the observations, and then the errant, and again the errant fart joke, maybe at the expense of your child.
Right. The other thing is like, and then there are some comedians who, while they are kind of like they talk about a certain thing, the thing that they talk about is always consistently changing too. So it's kind of they're funny because of that, and they have a fun way of kind of summarizing their thoughts on it and making it like kind of funny. Like Lewis Black, he's funny, but the political arena is constantly shifting and changing, and so his material is always changing because of that. I'm trying to think. Then you have like Jim Gaffigan. He talks a lot about like food and family, and as his family gets bigger and older, like there's always new challenges, and everyone loves food, and he has like we all struggle with that. Should I eat this or should I not? And
yeah. Doesn't he have that one where he finds like something in the couch and it's just like he's like, oh, should I eat this? Like, is anybody around?
Yeah. And same thing with I don't know if he's as big anymore or what he's been doing, but like John Panette, he's pretty funny too. He talks a lot about food and travel.
John Panette?
I think Panette.
Oh, Panette. That's
his name. Yeah, he was.
I don't think I've heard of him, but
he's
continue.
Probably best known for he was on the season or the series finale of Seinfeld. He was the guy that was getting like mugged at gunpoint, and they were just watching it happen. But no, he has pretty decent stand-up comedy that talking about food and travel. And while his bit kind of it's talking about the same stuff, that's always changing too. So it can be done where you're right, kind of everyone knows like what you're going to be talking about, but you can still do it in a fun new way. And I think some people they are kind of like that flash in the pan. They get big really quickly, and all these other projects and like stuff distracts them, and they don't work on that craft anymore. Like, and that's the trap that I think Amy Schumer fell into. That was the other thing with like a guy like Dane Cook is he skyrocketed really quickly.
His rise was meteoric. I mean,
and then like then he started trying to do the movie thing and all that stuff. His comedy kind of like leveled off because he wasn't working as hard at it. And I think he had a lot of like some personal issues, like his parents.
His parents passed away like a month apart from each other.
And so he took like some time off, and then just like recrafted. And now like he's got a bunch of new stuff out, and it's funny. He's back. I think his stand-up is just as good as it's ever been. And who else was I thinking of too? Where, or then you have like other guys like Aziz Ansari, where he's also another guy that just kind of put himself in the right place at the right time in a lot of different ways. And I'm not sure he's still doing quite as much of the stand-up stuff, but he's kind of more morphed into the television side. But it was he got really big from Parks and Recreation. Now he's got his own Netflix show, which is really good.
Right.
So he's kind of not done as much stand-up comedy since then. He might do the occasional show here and there, but it's not like a whole like big special like some of these other
I guess guys. He's like transitioning himself more into. I mean, he's still writing, but it's just more for TV as opposed to stand-up.
Yeah, and maybe that's
fine because everyone has their arcs like in their careers and stuff, and he maybe one day he will go back to or maybe he'll try to do more specials and or even like just tour more regularly, out to different comedy clubs or theaters or whatever, what have you, and just do like that kind of stuff. But I guess right now, yeah, he's just more into doing TV than the stand up.
And I think that's fine. Like, and that's probably maybe what Amy Schumer should have because I think maybe that's what she wanted to do to begin with. She started doing her own show. She's did some of the movie stuff, but then you're trying to do a stand up special on top of that, which that's a whole nother 100 or plus hundreds of hours of work,
right?
That she probably wasn't putting into it, but because she's gotten big. She gets a special, and unfortunately, it didn't. It was just not good.
I mean, I'll even give it to her that her attention was divided.
Yeah, and that's I think that's why her among other things why her special just kind of it sucked.
Yeah.
And even if you don't like, there's lots of comedians where. I don't really like what they have to say, or or anything like that. But man, like when they get on stage and they're in their stand-up comedy role, like I love them. I think they're funny.
I mean,
and
okay.
She's one of them. I think she's funny, and I hope the joke thief rumors were just kind of maybe she just got lazy and didn't realize what she was doing. I'm hoping that wasn't like a real thing.
Right. Or even if it was parallel thinking, there's that YouTube video, that's pretty damning where they take the original and they play it against the show.
Yeah.
And especially that Mad TV one.
Right.
That was beat for beat, copy.
And that's I'm really hoping that's not the case, because then it's you have a whole another Carlos Mencia issue.
Right, but okay, some of the other stuff, it was changed just enough to where you could imagine it be just maybe they just had the same idea.
Yeah,
and not by much, but that Mad TV one, that was so
one was damning. Yeah, that was really
beat
damning.
For beat. It was the exact same skit.
It was pretty darn close.
And if she's slapping her name on the show and giving her or even herself a writing credit, are you saying
even
that
if she was not the one that did it, it's still her responsibility?
Right, I know. I'm saying okay, yeah, you're the boss, so you don't necessarily have to do the due diligence and the research or whatever. That's on whoever you hire to, do that kind of stuff.
Right.
But
yeah, a lot of the with the the limited number of topics to go through,
mm-hmm.
Of course everyone's going to come across where hey, they're all kind of talking about different some of the same things, probably
right.
I imagine.
And in that, I totally give the pass of parallel thinking.
Yeah, and people know hey, whether it's kind of one of those it's a coincidence or hey, you're freaking stealing my jokes, and there's usually a lot of smoke to that in that fire, with the whole Carlos Mencia thing. With Joe Rogan was big enough to finally just hey, confront him face on.
Yeah, there's that video of him Mencia at the Comedy Store or something in LA, and Joe Rogan just gets up there on the stage and just hey, did you or did you not steal this joke? And and then Mencia basically yeah, I stole it, and he was oh, you done goofed.
Yeah, but it wasn't just with Rogan, it was a lot of comedians.
Yeah, a lot of comedians were speaking out about it, but I think Joe Rogan gets a lot of the credit for actually face to face, in public, and then it happened to also be it also happened to be recorded. So
yeah, so that was And that's good because it's you want guys who are genuine that aren't pilfering jokes off of guys who are up and coming or like even like the big time guys. That's not right.
Right.
Because while everyone's like, oh, it's easy, just tell jokes, you're funny and you're on stage, but those are ideas, those are intellectual properties that
right, yeah.
That's not right. That's totally
right. And that's like, and that's someone else's
bullshit.
Yeah, and that's someone else's experience and like how they interpreted the experience and analyzed the situation and came to that conclusion.
Right.
And so someone coming along and taking it and I don't know, repackaging it and trying to pass it off as their own is just very deplorable.
It really is.
Detestable.
Yeah. So that's why I kind of hope it wasn't like true on Amy Schumer's side. That it was just more of a unfortunate situation that maybe she hopefully rectified.
I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't know. But with the Netflix special, sometimes I want, there's like that old adage, what's worse, the crime or the cover up?
Yeah.
And I mean, Netflix is cool and all. I mean, Netflix, you got me through some rough times in my life.
Same.
But going back and changing the rating system, because her special was being slammed with like 1 stars and really bad ratings from customers. And then all of a sudden, Netflix comes out and is like, oh, we're gonna get rid of the 1 star. We're gonna get rid of the star rating system, and instead I forget what they decided to put in instead of the star system, but
there's no rating thing. It's like I think it's like a match percentage or something. I don't know if that's like from like your searches or whatnot, but
maybe yeah.
But I don't know how that how it works. I don't know if it's like a Rotten Tomato rating or something or what.
Right. And like, do they just take the but then do they?
And I wonder if it's based off of like what shows you do watch or have searched for, and it's like, hey, if you kind of like with Amazon, if you like this, you might like this,
right?
Kind of deal.
But then how do they just score that? Because like, what if I was just like kind of like flicking through Netflix and I accidentally clicked on, Amy Schumer's special, and then I was like, oh no, I didn't want that, and I close out from that and I go to the thing that I really want. Do they count that like initial, that accidental click as, someone who's like searching for it or who actually wanted to watch it? Yeah, it's like it's become very opaque. It's not transparent. Before it was like the 1 star and the reviews. I don't know if they still have the reviews. I think they still have the reviews, but they just don't have they don't have the star system.
Yeah. I kind of like the star system. It helped me figure like, hey, is this one pretty good, or like how many people like this one?
Yeah, I mean that's how that's what I like about Yelp, because they still have the stars, and so a restaurant that I only go to ones that are like 4 and up. At least for the ones that I haven't really heard of, or I'm new to the area. Then like 4 and above, that's all I'm gonna go to, because I don't want to risk going to a 3.5 and having like a mediocre meal, but or what have you. So like it's a the star rating system is a shorthand. It's like you have this many stars, then you either have your shit together or you don't.
Yeah, and then the other thing too is like as far as like how many people have contributed to that rating too, where it's like okay, yeah, oh, 5 stars. Oh, 3 people, reviewed this. So yeah, it's not exactly. It might not be as genuine as if you go to one where it's
Right,
like
exactly.
a thousand reviews.
And it's funny because I don't necessarily like, well, at least for Yelp, or like Amazon or things like that. I necessarily don't trust 1 stars or 5 stars.
Right.
So that's why I always go. I always make my decisions based off the 2 stars and the 4 stars.
Yeah, that's I'm kind of the same way.
Yeah, because the 2 stars had a problem, but they weren't like they weren't freaking butthurt about it.
Yeah.
And the 4 stars loved it, but there was like I think 4 stars give like a more balanced view because like they like especially for like food, they talk about the food, but then they also talk about like the service or like things that really matter.
Yeah.
Which is very helpful.
Yeah, the only time I look at like I'm the same as you. The only time I look at like the 1 and 5 star rating though is if it's like a high volume of people who contributed to that rating. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, if 1,000 people are saying that it's a 1 star, it probably sucks.
Right? Yeah. Those are the only ones like it's pretty safe.
Yeah. No, the chef tried to cut my head off. I negative stars if I could.
Like, I found I found a Band-Aid in my salad and a thumb in my soup.
Yeah. 1 star.
1 star. For sure.
Well, we're coming up on the hour, Andy. I think it's a good time to say salutations.
All right. I mean, yeah. Yeah.
Unless there's some closing notes. Unless you have some closing notes you'd like to give us.
Nothing really. Nothing really. Just yeah. And I feel like I have to give like some sort of words of wisdom.
Well, we didn't have our movie of the week. We haven't talked about a movie. We hadn't watched one together. We've been too busy filming.
True.
Or you being mad at me. That was the other one.
Yeah, but it was good. It was good reason. It wasn't unmerited. It wasn't unwarranted. It was fully reasoned out.
That was the first time I felt your fury, Andy.
Yes.
I felt so bad.
I mean, yeah, you're lucky that I didn't inherit my dad's temper, because if I inherited my dad's temper, then I would have been like Red Foreman, and I would have just been like, I'm gonna stick my foot up your ass.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm more mellow than my dad, so I expressed I expressed my frustration and disappointment, and you knew that, and I didn't have to raise my voice.
You didn't have to raise your voice. I understood completely.
Right? I know you still got that, right? That I was upset, or I was angry at you, and I was disappointed.
So that's why I worked my ass off on Monday, and then I bought you dinner.
Yeah. Right, but you didn't feel belittled, or you didn't feel like I didn't cut your nuts off, right?
No, I had done goofed. I knew.
Well, that's good then. That's all. That's my anger. I mean, I'm not. Yeah. So yeah, I'm not like my dad, because like my dad would just like I drop a pencil, and he bite. That's a foot in my ass.
Yeah.
he never like and he never told me why he was angry at me or what I did. So I could never do it again. He just like yelled at me and like put his foot in my ass.
Just existing, Andy. That's why.
Huh?
Just existing. That's why.
Yeah, I ruined his life. I ruined his life. That's about it. Right? All children ruin their parents' lives.
So I'll make sure for next week's segment that we're gonna have 2 movies to make up for our. We need to have a movie of the week, so I'm gonna watch 2 movies this week to talk about.
Oh, we could have talked to. Oh man. Yeah, I actually watched. Yeah, cause I recently watched 10 Cloverfield Lane, and it was really good.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we were talking about that on Monday.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was a good movie.
Okay, that'll be our final note. Let's talk about 10 Cloverfield Lane, so that way we have a movie of the week.
Okay, right. There's always we always have to have a movie of the week.
We need to have like a caption or like a sound effect for movie of the week or something like that.
I don't know. I'll work on it. Yeah, a little soundbite. Well, I guess before we go started, spoilers ahead. So if you haven't watched it, just mute this part. Keep watching us, and we could just be like making we'll just like
last week.
Yeah, exactly. It was the day last week. So yeah, 10 Cloverfield Lane. I don't know if it was necessarily a sequel. I don't think it was a sequel to Cloverfield, but it was like it inhabited like the same kind of universe, or maybe like a parallel universe to Cloverfield. Like maybe they're like they're like in the same position, but then just on different planes and then going forward. But anyways,
or it could be like at the same time, but like happening like this is one story based off of that, like what's going on at that time, and then Cloverfield's a whole different like area. I never watched Cloverfield, so I have no clue. So I'm basing my judgment of 10 Cloverfield Lane mainly on its own merit as a movie.
I mean, Cloverfield was trying to be like a Godzilla style movie, because I think even in the the featurette or whatever of Cloverfield, J.J. Abrams was talking about I was just thinking about it, and America doesn't really have like a giant monster kind of tradition. Not like the Japanese. They have Godzilla, they have Mothra, they have Rodan, and J.J. Abrams was saying that he wanted to give America that kind of or maybe try to start like that kind of tradition for America. But it didn't end. It wasn't executed very well. With the whole I think it was in the time, or it wasn't exactly in the time of like the Blair Witch Project, where the found footage and the shaky cam and stuff. It was it was like a good number of years after the Blair Witch Project, but it utilized that kind of same idea of found footage, and we as the audience are just watching this after the fact. But I remember a friend of mine, he said he went to go watch Cloverfield, and it was well into like 30-minute mark, but then all of a sudden the shaky cam started happening, and he got up out of his seat, and then he walked out and then got a refund because he's like I was gonna throw up.
Yeah, it's those type of movies where it's kind of the shaky cams. They're either it's not for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that was one of the knocks against the Jason Bourne movies where it's kind of like that. But I know those I never had a problem with.
Oh yeah, well, because it wasn't crazy, disorienting kind of shaky cam. You know, it was
Yeah.
just more like you know, kind of like getting like the sense of the atmosphere kind of shaky cam, where like, you know, if Jason Bourne got kind of like, you know, got a haymaker to the head, like, you know, you kind of like jostle with it, and then so you kind of get like that kind of sensory experience. But it wasn't like Blair Witch, where like someone was running and like, you know, holding the camera and not giving the sense of it, like, you know, like, you know, they wouldn't run with like the camera up like this and like, you know, kind of run like, you know, run straight forward and try to keep the camera steady as possible. You know, they would like,
Yeah.
you know, they would more likely, you know, not even have it up like this, but they would like have it like, you know, the arms would be swinging here like while holding the camera.
Yeah, that seems a bit much, but
Yeah.
But as far as 10 Cloverfield Lane goes, I felt it was kind of like a cool, like you're a little bit of a thriller where it's
Yes.
you're not really sure if you know is this a good guy, is he a bad guy, is he trying to kill me, hurt me, do that, and it's you know, there's always this like, you know, kind of uneasy tension throughout the entire movie. That like, and you're not really sure, you know, who's good and who's not at times. So it's I really like that about the movie. It kept me in suspense the entire time.
Yeah.
And despite it because it's such it is a little bit of a slower paced movie, but it had that tension at the same time where it's like, ooh, what's gonna happen?
Yeah. John Goodman.
God, he's good. He's a great
good.
actor.
He's a good actor. And I mean, you know, some people say like, oh yeah, this is just a vehicle for John Goodman to showcase his acting ability. Well, like, who cares? He still did it. He still knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I really like this movie, like that 10 Cloverfield Lane, because it was a complete subversion of the typical, you know, end of the world psycho killer genre.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I mean, if you haven't seen it, spoiler alerts. John Goodman's character turns out to be this psycho child abductor, rapist, killer.
Yeah,
and
that was
and it just happens to be the end of the world.
Yep.
And then like the girl. Well, we learned that, you know, it wasn't a random thing that, you know, that she ends up in the bunker, but you know, he picks her, the main girl, to be in the bunker with him. And
yeah, it was.
I thought that was like really. I thought that was very effective.
That was an awesome twist to the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like you're not really. You're kind of like, well, maybe he's just misunderstood. He's like, you know, bad-tempered guy, and like, but he was, you know, doing something like he saw something in like these two people that like felt like that they needed help, and so he brought them down into the bunker to save them.
Right.
And
yeah, or at least like
yeah,
or at least with the guy, it was more of like a begrudging thing, because, you know, like, you know, he was saying, or like the girl was asking, oh, you know, how did you get down here, or what, you know, what caused you to be down here? And he's like, what is like, what are you talking about? I wanted to be down here. It's like, what? And I guess like that guy, the other guy, you know, he saw John Goodman's character building like the bunker and stuff, and like, you know, he was describing like the attack that happened, and he was like, oh, you know, I knew I had to get here, and I knew I had to, you know, do everything I could to get inside the bunker to be safe.
Yeah, and it was just like the you know, it was it felt like, you know, with the girl, the female lead, you know, it was more of you know, she's curious by nature, and wasn't really trusting But while everything like seemed legitimate, even at a point where she does like find a way to escape, and then it's like, oh shit, like what he's saying is real. Like there's people are like being affected.
Right. Yeah,
and so then you think it's like, oh, it's legit. Like he's telling the truth.
Yeah,
like,
and then there's like these multiple points where he would talk about aliens and Martians and things like that, and you kind of and I think even the two other survivors and the audience, are meant to like they're like kind of throwaway lines, and the two other survivors and the audience are tricked into throwing those lines away. It's like, oh, this is absurd. It was just an attack. It was just done by humans. And then finally, when the girl does get out of the bunker, and then she does look off onto the horizon, and she sees like a craft. And at first, it's kind of familiar. It looks like a helicopter, and then slowly as it gets closer, it like it like, I don't know, transforms or whatever, and into like this other shape. And it's like, oh crap!
It wasn't bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, even like the at that first part where like she kind of like breaks through to like that that buffer zone or whatever from the outside, and it's like he's like, don't open that door, don't open it, and that woman pops up out of nowhere, and like she's all like
she's all blistered up, and like she's clearly infected, and she's like, let me in, and she ends up.
Before we thought like maybe he's just like I guess maybe he's just crazy, and like he's keeping us down here, or he's gonna kill us, and you're thinking but then it's like, oh shit, he's saying he's telling the truth. That's what's going on out there, and so she starts to like kind of believe it.
Yeah, because like the first proof that he gave her was just 2 dead pigs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, there's these 2 dead pigs, but was it necessarily because of some sort of like toxic agent in the air, or was it? Did he kill these pigs? Did he kill these pigs like prior and then left them out to like rot a little bit, and then like he put him into that pen that happened to be conveniently close to the entrance of the shelter.
Right.
And it's like,
well, it's weird because he's being very coy and misleading up until that point, and it was just
because he's being kind of quiet and kind of distant and not like explaining everything like fully, which you would think it would be a lot easier if he was just to explain everything. Especially in like end of the world disaster kind of film, or like in a situation. It would just be easier to just explain everything. Hi, my name is so and so. Hi, this is my bunker. There's been an attack. There's some sort of pathogen in the air that's killing people. I'll show you these 2 dead pigs. That died because they inhaled whatever was in the air, and blah 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 blah. But it's just like it's just like a kind of annoyingly distant and just like secretive. But I mean, then again, you understand that kind of a little bit because like, oh, this guy is a freaking psycho killer.
Yeah,
like, and that was just one of his manipulation tactics to like kind of control her and get her like and lull her into a false sense of security. And so,
it was a fun roller coaster of a movie. I loved it. Mm-hmm. If you're not into, it's kind of like a horror movie, but it's more of a thriller kind of mystery that you're trying to solve along with the main character. And if you like mystery, if you like a little bit of sci-fi horror and a lot of like pretty good acting, I think this is definitely a movie to check out.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's got a little bit of everything. All right. Well, now I feel accomplished. We got our movie of the week done.
Right.
I was going to be talking about one.
Yes. Yes. All right, guys. Well, that was Nocturnal Transmissions for this week. I hope you enjoyed. Join us every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where we just talk about stuff. And if you want to get involved, in this conversation, please do so by either tweeting us at our Twitter at podcastcoj, and or during the live stream you could just join the chat and ask a question, and or suggest a topic that you would like us to discuss. Also, don't forget to follow us on our Instagram at Circle of Jerks Podcast. That's where we'll post behind the scenes, or make little announcements, or just stupid photos of us messing around or something. I think. All right, don't forget to check out our library at our channel main page. We don't have enough followers to have a customized URL, so just go into the little search box and type in Circle of Jerks Podcasts. Just as a forewarning, there are 2 other podcasts by that name, but we are just Circle of Jerks Podcast. We're not the Circle of Jerks. We're not a Circle of Jerks. We're just Circle of Jerks Podcast. So,
yes, sir.
With that, I think we will call it.
Sounds like a plan for me, Andy.
Yes. Again, thank you for joining us, and please do like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit that little, once you subscribe, hit that little bell notification, because right now, YouTube be kind of jerks. But you didn't hear that from me. So, we'll see you next week.